you are Shivash, is it?
शिवांश
Shivansh. And तो गायब कर दिया हमने।
हमारे में तो है शिवांश.
Where do you stay? Which is your district?
Right now I'm staying at Noida. The district is Gautam Budh Nagar.
Oh, that's nice. Has Noida come up very well?
Certainly, ma'am. Relatively, it has come up very well. There are certain issues, but overall,
Have improved.
yes.
Okay. Now you tell me, we are hearing a lot about Mr. Adani. His port or whatever else he has, so many portfolios. So they are all ruining the share market. In my estimation, the share market going downward, then Mr. Adani improves by 20% day before, then he goes down. What is this about?
Certainly, ma'am. There is a lot of volatility in the market in the past few days. This has originated from the Hindenburg report,
Okay.
which has alleged that the Adani group has indulged in manipulation of stock prices. There is a lot of promoter holding. There are certain companies, entities in Mauritius.
Oh, so that's all that creating a background.
Yes, ma'am.
Isn't
And
it? Someone said the Hindenburg report is Hind, H-I-N-D. Hind report. Have you heard of this? It's a joke.
yes, ma'am. I understand that the notion is that Hindenburg report is not attacking Adani, but somehow
Hindustan.
attacking India.
Yeah, but he'll come back. Soon you will see, after 10 days he'll be right back and you will be buying shares from him. That's what I think. Anyway, so now we are talking of GP chat. You've heard of GP chat? आपने सुना? बहुत काफी चर्चा में है. GP chat. You haven't heard. It's a Google thing. You can interact with the chat box, and if
I've
you
heard.
ask how's Adani, he'll tell you everything.
I've heard of Chat GPT.
Okay, Chat GPT. Fine, you've heard of it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So there is Mr. Pichai. You know who Mr. Pichai is?
Yes, ma'am.
So he has introduced BARD, B-A-R-D.
Yes,
Have
ma'am.
you heard of that?
Yes, ma'am.
What is it? It's a contradictory thing or it's the same?
It's in response to Chat GPT. It's a competing product where Google would incorporate Bard within its own search engine. It is an AI-based system.
So it will help.
Sorry, ma'am?
It will help. It will help Google because the other one is also Chat GPT is Google only, no?
Certainly, ma'am. Chat GPT is challenging the monopoly of Google in a very serious manner, and Google has responded with Bard.
Okay. So do you think Microsoft also has something similar or they use this only? Microsoft.
To the best of my knowledge, ma'am, Microsoft was in talks to acquire Chat GPT for $27 billion from OpenAI.
But they didn't get it. They're just dialoguing.
I'm unaware
don't know. That's
aware
okay.
of the status.
It's all right. It's not so important. Tell me about glacial valleys. You know about glaciers? Glaciers and the valleys they make. Are you aware or you have never heard?
I have very limited knowledge on
You
this.
have not heard.
Sorry, ma'am. I will look into it.
That's all right. So now tell me, are electrical vehicles, EVs, the future of India? EVs, electrical vehicles.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Certainly, they are part of the future of India, not the sole future of India. India would have a mix of technologies. One of them would be EV, the other would be hybrids, strong hybrids. Some of them could be hydrogen-powered cars as well.
In the future, yeah.
Certainly, ma'am.
Definitely. So when we are talking of alternative sources of energy, right? So there is solar energy also. So have you seen it grow in India or just got, placid, just stuck to some place? Because we have a lot of sun.
Certainly, ma'am. To the best of my knowledge, it has increased quite a bit, but I do not have specific numbers for this. Currently, solar energy accounts for 14% of our energy mix, and it is slated to grow.
Yeah, I think you can cook with solar energy, you can get your grid working, you can get your electricity working. There are a lot of options.
Certainly, ma'am.
But I think people don't know about it. Suppose there's a house, this house suppose. So you have to put a solar grid on your roof. So they come, they measure what is the percentage of area where the southwest or some area is, where you get maximum sun, so they can get your electricity going. But when you call the chap who will install it, he'll never come. He'll say, I live in Meerut, how can I come so far away? Thing like that. So they should provide the facilities so that the individual is encouraged. That they don't do. Generally, I'm talking generally. Right, sir, aapse shuru karte.
Thank you, ma'am.
हाँ.
Well, it's such a pleasure interacting with you, somebody from the National Law University. I would like to understand from you certain legal points which have been plaguing me. What is the doctrine of pleasure in the Constitution of India?
Doctrine of pleasure denotes that officers of the state, especially civil servants, work at the instance of the president. Does not mean that they can be arbitrarily dismissed by the president. There has to be certain safeguards in place. These are in Article 311 of the Constitution.
Can they be arbitrarily dismissed?
No, sir.
No, even if the government servant is indulging in anti-national activities, gross corruption, is there a provision in the Constitution through which they can be arbitrarily dismissed? Whatever be the rank or seniority, whatever be the service.
There is a provision, sir. I wouldn't call it arbitrary. It just says that in certain circumstances, the inquiry need not be conducted.
Is it not arbitrary? Inquiry need not be conducted. Arbitrary would mean that without adequate departmental proceedings or court proceedings, if the dismissal happens, I don't say it's arbitrary, but yes, that may not be necessary in case of gross corruption, negligence, or anti-national activities. What are the provisions under which that government servant can be dismissed of any level? If you're not clear, we can go to the next point.
I will read up on this.
Sure, Shivansh. Now, I would like to understand the long list of pendency in the lower courts and in the high courts. Argentina has come up with a software which has drastically reduced and cut down on the pendency there. Have you heard of this software?
Sorry, sir, I will look into it.
Okay, if you were, suppose, the law minister of the country, what measures, 3 measures you can tell me, with minimal budget to expedite and reduce the pendency in the courts?
I would make amendments to the National Litigation Policy 2010. Government is the largest litigant. So government must come up with a de minimis policy so as to go for litigation in certain cases or not to go in certain cases, especially service matters. If the ruling comes one way, it need not be appealed. Secondly, would be filling up the existing vacancies in the high courts, in the lower courts. That would be my second move. Third one would be, at minimal cost, it would include, there's an e-courts project, perhaps that could be utilized better. If cost is not a concern, then I would set up National Court of Appeal as recommended by former Attorney General K.K. Venugopal, so that time of Supreme Court could be saved.
Shivansh, we already have the CATs, Central Administrative Tribunals. But there the pendency is even more than that of the many high courts. We have not even been able to solve one problem, we have created another one for ourselves. Have the CAT, the purpose for which they were designed, are they fulfilling that purpose of addressing service matters, or they're also beating around the bush without coming to the point?
Certainly, sir. Pendency is an issue in CAT itself. CAT also suffers with vacancies in itself. Secondly, due to the 𝐿.Chandrakumar case, CAT does not have exclusive jurisdiction. Appeals from CAT do not go to the Supreme Court directly, they go to the High Court.
High Court first.
And at this, there are interim orders passed by the High Courts which impede the process in CAT also.
Okay, I would now like to understand, shifting gears to the Delhi riots. The Delhi police submitted a charge sheet after a lapse of maybe months and months, and lo and behold, the court acquitted all the major accused. And through the charge sheet and the investigation on the face of the investigators, is there a provision under such embarrassment for consequences for the investigator and the prosecutor, or both? Or there is no even getaway? You file all kinds of nonsense in the court, maybe after a couple of years when the hearing comes, all the accused are acquitted, and there are no consequences for the investigator and the prosecutor. or under law, is there a provision for action for the investigator against the investigator and the prosecutor?
I will look into this, sir. I'm not sure.
Okay. This is a very important point which somebody from the National Law University should be able to tell me.
Sorry, sir.
And tell me my last question on law. Hostile witness. Who is a hostile witness?
Hostile witness is one who gives an initial statement, but to the police, basis which the police investigates, comes up with evidence, charge sheet, but later on at the trial phase the witness turns hostile, essentially meaning that reverses his or her
He
own
retracts
story.
his statement. Very good. Now, is there a mechanism or should there be a mechanism to ensure that the hostility does not happen, bringing embarrassment to the government and to the investigators?
Recording of statements under CRPC is governed by section 161 and 164. 164 statements are recorded before the magistrate, so it's very difficult for the witness to turn back one.
Don't you think it would be prudent to record all the statements in 164 of the CRPC? And what purposes will you serve if you record all important statements, not the routine ones? Have you read the case diaries of any investigation? You must have, of course, you are a lawyer.
I do not deal in
Never mind.
criminal law, sir.
If suppose I were to say there's a murder case, Aftab Poonawala and Shraddha Valkar case, if all the important statements are recorded in 164 CRPC, do you think it will have a salutary impact on the conviction part?
Sorry, sir, I missed the last part.
Will it have a salutary impact, a positive impact on the conviction of the case?
Certainly, sir. 164 statements carry a higher level of weight. Recording all statements would perhaps clog up the lower courts and take up time. Perhaps provision could be made to record statements on camera, and there could be some psychological analysis whether the witness is under some pressure or not. Perhaps some value should be allotted to that.
Very good, Shivansh. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Shivansh, you have written you are an Apple enthusiast.
Yes, sir.
So what do I understand you as? An Adam about to take a bite and commit that sin?
I'm afraid I've already committed the sin, sir, but I really am impressed by the company, what it stands for, its origins, currently the attention to detail, its emphasis on privacy.
Emphasis on privacy.
Yes, sir.
What are they up to? They have snatched everything that I used to keep on my study table. Alarm clock, calendar, notepads, they have all sucked into this device. So what is it that they are up to now in technology terms? What are they going to take away from us?
So they're not, as technology progresses, lives of humans improve considerably from physical to digital. Now within the digital space, whatever information is taken, whether that is protected properly or not, in that aspect I would say Apple is far ahead of the competition. As there have been no instances to the best of my knowledge of misuse of this data, of breach of privacy by Apple.
Okay, does that have to, why is it so? It's because of very strong encryption that they do? Or?
Certainly, sir. Encryption, and recently they have come up with an update in which there is a concept of a physical key. So even Apple could not unlock your data. It will stay encrypted unless that fits.
What's the connect between prime numbers and strong encryption?
I have a very vague idea about this, sir.
You have law background.
Yes, sir.
Right. So I just wanted to ask you about when the British started, doing civil administration over and beyond their Diwani rights, particularly in Bengal. What all legal texts did they have available to govern with, to carry out civil administration with, as principles of jurisprudence, or because constitution and the civil codes, or the Gentoo laws as they called, was yet to come. So what did they rely on?
I do not have specifics on this, sir.
Have you heard of Mitakshar and Dayabhag?
Yes, sir. These are schools of thought.
And where
regarding property rights, whether Daya Bhag was later in time, slightly more progressive, where in Mitakshara on birth the son got the right in the ancestral property. Daya Bhag was later on, I think after the death, but again I do not have
okay,
specifics.
so what is Warren Buffett doing? You are interested in personal finance. So what is he up to now? You're following him?
Not him specifically, sir.
No. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Right. You are a graduate of GNLU, right? Now, there was a recent controversy over a BBC program pertaining to, at least the first part of it pertained to the riots in Gujarat. What legal basis was there for the government to restrict it or ban it?
Under Rule 16 of the Digital Media Intermediaries and Ethics Guidelines, the emergency power was exercised by the Secretary Ministry of.
What was the emergency power for? I mean, what is this power? Is it a power to ban something?
It is to restrict any content, and the power is not too well defined on what grounds the emergency.
Right. So what was the specific order? Are you aware of what was the specific order passed by the government
Sorry, sir.
on this issue? All right.
Look
Now,
into it.
come to another thing. The Victoria Gauri case was in the news yesterday and of course today also. Right. Now, do you think that a person who has been linked with a political party should be appointed as a judge?
In my opinion, sir, that is not a relevant consideration for appointment as judges.
It is not relevant in your opinion.
Only
That means we should disregard it regardless of what his political activity has been.
in itself is not. Sir. Membership of political parties in law is not.
No, but when you look at suitability of the person, shouldn't that be a consideration?
Certainly, so that is considered. But in this particular case, the more pressing grounds were the fact that she had made certain comments back in the day against particular communities. That was the pressing point.
That was pressed by the lawyers. No,
Yes.
but my question was different. I am focusing on the political party membership. Do you think that should be a disqualification for appointment of a judge?
Not,
Yes, sir. No.
not outrightly, sir.
Are you aware of any other judges who have been linked with political parties in the past, who were appointed as judges, Supreme Court, for example?
Sorry, sir.
No, you worked in Trilegal, which is one of the leading law firms of this country. Now, an idea behind these law schools was that their students will go and improve the functioning of the courts, the judiciary. But most of them end up in law firms like you. Did you have any stint of practice in any court, or you just joined a law firm?
I joined the law firm.
Oh,
sir.
right. So, don't you think that the goal with which, for example, NLIU Bangalore was set up, and then of course the other law universities, that goal has been defeated?
So I would give a two-part answer to this. One would be a legal answer, one would be a general answer.
No, I'm not asking for a legal answer. Legally, of course, you have the right to go and work anywhere. I'm not denying that.
Yes,
You
sir.
have the right. You have the right to go abroad also if you want.
Yes,
But do you think? Are you aware of the fact that this was one of the goals
Yes, sir.
behind these national law universities? All right. So what's happened then?
Sir, there is an efficient mix of students coming out of NLUs which go into the corporate field, which go into litigation. It depends on the particular inclination of the particular student on what that person wants to do. In my humble opinion, as long as the student is working in the field of law within the country, the objective would be met in spirit.
The objective of the law school. Have you done any pro bono work?
No, sir.
No. And as part of your law internship, etc., did you do anything of this type?
No, sir.
No, you don't have any experience in this. My last question then again is when this Hindenburg report came out, the Adanis threatened to sue Hindenburg. All right. Now, what would be the forum pursuing them? Obviously, I'm asking you not just from a legal viewpoint. What would be an effective forum?
SEBI has prohibition of fraud and unfair trade practice regulations.
All right.
So they could sue them there.
But Hindenburg has no presence in India. They have not sorted Adani shares in India. Are you aware of that? What have they done? You see, because the main issue was they were sorting some things. Where were they sorting, and what did this imply?
I will check this, sir, where they were
You are
sorting.
not
I am not aware of this.
Aware of this, all right?
Sorry, sir.
And suing them in America, what would be the problem?
The systems in America are slightly different. They allow for discovery of certain
Right.
documents.
So that discovery, would it be a threat for the Adanis also? In what sense? Because they threatened that we will use this discovery power. In what sense would that be a threat for the Adanis?
Adani perhaps may be compelled to disclose his connections with the Mauritius law firms which I had mentioned.
Mauritius law firm.
Sorry, Mauritius firms. Sorry, sir, I'm very sorry. Which hold shares in the Adani enterprises, which are alleged to be just front companies for promoter holding. Thank you, sir.
Shivansh, may I seek some advice from you regarding personal investment? See, my question is, I'll first explain the client. The client is a retired government servant. Very hard-earned money, but limited money. Wants to multiply it very fast, but can't afford the risk. How would you advise him to invest?
These are conflicting aims, sir. I mean, what is his or her investment horizon?
The retirement funds. Retired and retirement fund is, say, approximately 1 crore he has, and he has one more demand, that this is the only money he has. He doesn't know about the future, so at times of emergency he wants liquidity also.
Certainly, sir. Okay, sir. Basis the given information, I would create an asset mix for him or her. About 10% could grow in cryptocurrency, which could give him a very large upside. About the remaining 90% could be put in a liquid fund. From there, over a period of 1 year, it could be invested in passive index funds. Some say about 20-30%. 20-30% could go in debt funds, and the remaining could stay in the liquid funds, so as to give him liquidity. About 30 lakh rupees, 20 to 30 lakh rupees should be enough to take care of any emergency needs of the person.
So what can he expect as rate of return?
With this efficient mix and basis performance of the market in the recent past, in my opinion, he could expect around 12% with this efficient mix.
12%.
Certainly, sir.
Oh, he would be very happy. You'll get lots of clients if you can assure that.
But it is not guaranteed, sir. Of course.
Okay. So, are you interested in music? Though you haven't mentioned music, I've seen that. But generally, do you know about Indian classical music?
Sorry, sir. I have very limited understanding on this.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Shivansh, good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you, sir.